This is an Ellis Mowers and More small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. On today's repair, we're going to be looking at this Husqvarna Z254 zero-turn. Not the first time you've seen this one, but took it back to the customer. If you remember the video that I did on it, it wasn't really driving like I would hope it would, especially when it was cold. Once it warmed up, it seemed like it did. However, that problem ended up getting a little bit worse, and we ended up finding out why. And I'll show it to you in just a second. But it ended up being a bunch of fishing line being attached and wrapped around the axle shaft, and subsequently it took out the axle seal, leaked all the stuff out, and all of that. However, that is a very tricky axle seal to find, because apparently there's two different variants of this transmission on it. I'll show you the transmission model number in just a second, but this is the part that fits. This is the 1-inch seal. The ones that I originally thought are marketed as a lip seal, and I had to go through a lot of different ways to find this, but I found it. It's a 51518. It's a 1 by 1.577 by 0.27 lip seal for an axle on one of these. There are a couple of different axle setups. Make sure that you have the 1-inch inlet for your axle. The other one, if I can find it really quickly, I must have already put it up, but it was definitely a lot smaller. I think it was like 3/4 of an inch or 2/3 of an inch lip seal. I'll show you the well, here's the seal that we're going to put on it, and also I'll show y'all the model number of this transmission just so y'all know. I've already in the process, I've already taken the wheel off, I've already taken the hub off. The hub had to hit a little bit in order for it to give, but it finally gave and popped off. And now I'm in the process of actually putting the seal back on. So I'll show you what we've got so far. We're going to put the seal on, and hopefully that will fix the issue with that. However, the bigger issue here is that I've got to fill the transmission back up, and from the forums that I've read, there's just not really any good way to fill them back up outside of taking them completely off of the machine. So in this video, I'm going to show you all how to do that. Again, if you have any better ways than I do, this is the first time I've done this, but there's not really any videos on this, and I figured that there's a few of these out here that some of y'all could benefit from this video. Again, I'll put this part number, if I can find a link to it, I'll put it in the description below. But yeah, got it off of Bill's Place Outdoor Power Equipment. So they had it. Not many people do, but those other smaller lip seals are around everywhere. So just make sure that you get the 1-inch one, and hopefully you're good to go. I'm going to show you all what we got, the transmission model number of this, and then get into replacing everything on it. So the one we're doing is the left side one here, and the model number of that is, can we get down there good enough? There you go. So it's ZCDUBB 3D8C2WPX is the model number of this seal, or this transmission. You can see where it's just caked where the oil has leaked out. So I've got to clean all that off so that I can get access to this. I'll get a light over here so y'all can see it a little bit better as well. I took the old seal off. There was not much left of the old seal because either fishing line or twine or something had just eaten it all away. One thing that I also noticed whenever I took this hub off, and I don't know if it's over here, this plastic piece right here had come a little bit loose, or had broken a little bit, and I don't know if it was grinding up against the seal. So I know this is kind of like a dust protector, but I'm not going to put it back on because I don't want a repeat issue to occur. Again, it is going to introduce a little bit of rust to the shaft. However, you have to keep the machine clean and not let a bunch of gunk and stuff get built up on it. You should be fine. So I'm going to get this seal on here. I'm going to wire brush some of this stuff off of the shaft here so that it goes on a little bit smoother, and lube it up, and we'll just slide it on there, and then we'll go about trying to figure out how to refill this transmission. I have a bad feeling that, like I said, we got to take it completely out of the machine in order to do that, but we'll cross that bridge when it's time to refill it. Well, I cheated and I went ahead and put the seal on, but I mean, all you do, so I took a little bit of wire brush here just to get some of the rust and stuff off right there, and then just very gently just slid it in place. Put a little bit of WD-40 on the shaft too. Slid everything in place here, and then just kind of pushed everything down with a very blunt object, whether it's a very dull flathead screwdriver or something along those lines. I mean, that's just crazy how much grease had caked up in there, huh? So now we get to do the fun part of the transmission, probably pulling the transmission out and filling it up. Also, before you put this seal in, make sure you've sprayed it, cleaned it out with some brake cleaner or something, so that you're not introducing a bunch of dirt and stuff into the transmission as well. Like I said, this should have sealed up nice and good now, and we should not be leaking anymore. The issue is there's not really any hydrostatic fluid in there for it to leak. Alright, y'all, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of a hack here when it comes to these things. So what I did, because I think I showed y'all where the fill port is on this, it's literally like right there under the frame, right about there. And you can get a socket in there, but you don't have enough room to get a ratchet. So what I did is I just approximated about where this would be where the fill hole was, and literally drilled a hole in the frame. And so now what I'm doing is I'm taking out the fill hole, and hopefully, I gotta get down there. There's no way that I can show it to y'all on camera very well, but we can try. So I've opened this up again. I'm sure I need to clean this a little bit better, but so I have taken that fill plug out, as you can see. I put the socket in here and then put the extensions on top. Well, not a socket, but the Allen in here, and this is a quarter inch. So I've taken that out. I'm going to screw it back in just a little bit, just for now. And what you're going to do is, I also don't see any way to what would it be? to check it. I honestly don't see any way to check it. I don't see where there's like a relief valve to see where if it's full. So these are, I'm pretty sure these are non-serviceable transaxles. So, but I did see that I think it's 15W50, and I think it's along the lines of 1.8 quarts that this takes. And so knowing that this is fairly empty, I'm probably going to put about 1.5 quarts in there. And then what I'm going to do is just, I'll show you, but I'm going to attach a funnel through a pipe up to the top of through the top here, and just pour it in that way. Man, this is so much easier. I thought I was going to have to pull a transmission out today. But hopefully what this will allow it to do is fill everything up, and then I will, hopefully this transmission ain't shot, and fill everything up with fluid. This seal should be good now. I know it's got a little dirt on the outside of it, but it was clean when I put it on. And hopefully what it'll do is it will allow us to have a good working transmission again. In the process of putting everything back together, again, I put the fill port back on just like I took it off. But in filling it, I just use a small funnel here with a tube attached to it, and it worked just fine. These do take 1.8 quarts from what I can find online. It's hard to find specs and stuff for these things because they want you to replace the whole thing, not just one part of it whenever they have issues. But got the seal on, got the fill port back on. I put, because I don't know how much is in here, but I put about 1.3 quarts back in it. I know the proper way is to pull this and turn it and all that stuff, but not doing that on this video. But what we are going to do is put this all back on, so that just slides back into the splines there on the axle, and you've got what do we got here? So we've got the axle nut here, and then there's a little lock washer. You got a little dust boot here, and then your wheel. So let me just confirm and make sure everything is correct on both sides, and I'll get right back with y'all. So now I'm putting everything back on, and I'm trying to figure out where the heck did everything go, because I had a little lock clip on here, snap ring. I'm like, where did it go? Where does it go? So I guess it keeps the seal from popping out. So I put that in right there. Just get some lock snap ring pliers and you should be good. The hub is on. Just slide that into the pins that it came in, and then what we'll do next is put this dust cover back on. And again, I would put the little plastic protector piece in here, but I'm not so sure that that was the cause of the issue originally. You can see I probably should clean all this off, but the grease just caked onto this from where it was. Well, the oil caked onto it. All right, so we got those 4 lug nuts back on there, and what I'll do first, before I get it off of jack stands and stuff, I'm going to crank it up. Do the bleed procedure. The typical bleed procedure for these is just let it run at low speed, forward for a few seconds, back for a few seconds and you repeat that process for a little bit. And after I finish that process, hopefully this thing right here won't be doing the whole grinding and not keeping constant speed because it didn't have any pressure on the hydro and all that stuff. So I'm going to get these lug nuts on right here. I'll show you what I do, or what I'm going to do for the bleed procedure on this, and then hopefully this thing will be ready to cut some grass. Alright, let me get y'all back here as good as I can. I'm working in a little bit of a tight spot here at the back of the garage, but got the wheel back on. I'm about to crank it up and just kind of see how it runs through its paces here. We'll make sure that the transmissions are engaged. We'll put that wheel back on in just a second. So, you crank her up. The straightest in the world, is it? I think I got it on there correctly. Let me just check. So far that axle seal is dry, so that's a good thing. And so we'll see. I just need to put the other wheel on. I'll take it out next here in just a second. We'll take it out for a spin and make sure everything is good. And hopefully this repair will be finished here in just a brief few seconds. I've already drove it around a little bit just to see if everything was good. Everything seems to be good on it. I've looked up under here and I don't see any leaking or anything, so that's a good thing. It's driving pretty good. I think we're all straight on it, hopefully. I'm going to take it for a little bit of a cruise around, and I'll see if everything holds up on it. And if so, then we've finished this video, and hopefully at the very least I've given y'all a hack as to how to fill up these things by drilling a little hole in the frame there to access all of the goodness in there. So I'll report back. I got to do a little bit of pine cone cleanup so I don't shoot pine cones all over the place, and I'll ride this thing a little bit, see if everything's good on it. If so, then it'll be ready to go back to its home. Well, just finished cutting the yard with it. Did great. Really happy with it. We're not leaking any oil out of the top, which means I didn't overfill it. Of course, it's a guessing game unless you pour it all out and take the whole transmission out, but this man's already put quite a few $100s into this thing, and so I figured that saving him a couple bucks, since the transmission pretty much was probably 80% dry, was alright. And it's pulling great. As you can see, my finger is dry right there on the seal, so it's not leaking out of the seal anymore. And it's doing just fine. What it was doing, I'll link the previous video, hopefully if I remember, to this machine. It was doing like a little juddering, or whatever you want to call it, but now it's pretty smooth. So let me pick it up. And it should be pretty good to go. Like I said, I think it's all good. Ready to send it on down the line, I suppose. So I do appreciate y'all watching this. This was actually a little bit of a pleasant surprise today. I was expecting that I was going to have to pull a transmission to refill it, but y'all saw I was able to just drill that hole in the frame to access the fill port there on this transmission, and seemed like it worked just fine. So it's working a whole lot better than it was, I can tell you that much. So let it, be good, I suppose. But I really do appreciate y'all watching this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Hopefully this helps save some of y'all a little bit of time if you need to replace a seal on the axle seal on one of these Husqvarnas. Number one, with getting the correct seal, I ordered the wrong seals at first, and then number two, a little cheat way to fill it back up without having to either come up with some sort of crazy contraption in order to fill up the transmission, or without having to take it completely off. Just drill a hole in the frame, big enough to access, like an Allen bit, a 40, number 40 Allen bit, and get your extensions down there so you can take the ratchet and knock it off and fill it back up with a hose and a funnel and a little bit of oil. Thanks again for watching this repair. Hopefully y'all found it helpful. If y'all have any questions or any comments that you would like to add to this, feel free to do so. If you want to tell me that I'm a hack job, you're welcome to do that. I have people that do that all the time. It's just part of being on YouTube. But for the 90% of y'all that are great, loyal watchers, I really do appreciate y'all watching. Again, really close to 10,000 subscribers. Planning to do a giveaway at 10,000 with some more super clean, and we're going to be cleaning out this Grand Caravan that I have over here. So stay tuned for that video coming up in the coming weeks, and I appreciate y'all watching. I'll catch y'all on the next one.